Hey there, Friday Night Movie listeners. Welcome to a very special Game of Thrones mini episode. This is an episode dedicated to Season 8, Episode 3. We are dropping this the day that Episode 4 airs, so this could be like a nice recap if you want to feel like you watched Episode 3 with us. But if you haven't, please note, this is filled with every possible spoiler, as well as some crazy predictions. Hope you enjoy the episode. We had an enormous amount of fun recording it. Here we are, and welcome to a Game of Thrones mini episode.
Those sound effects were not because we don't have the rights to the music, but it's because you don't know how to put a song into the podcast.
That is accurate. This is being recorded the day of Episode 4's airing, so I'm actually going to drop this before Episode 4 airs, so people, as they get ready, maybe they missed the first 3 episodes, maybe they missed The Long Night, which I think is one of the greatest episodes of television ever made.
I am so over people giving that episode a hard time because it was too dark. I think the problem is that we all just have terrible televisions and we don't.
No, here's my problem with this. Let's just get this out of the way. This is the elephant in the room.
So I want to welcome my sisters, Lily and Becky.
Let's
dive in. We'll dive in.
Sansa and Arya.
Ooh, which one's
She's definitely the Arya of this group. She could catch you.
Becky is 100% the Arya, and Lily is definitely 100%. The queen of like a little hinterland area where she runs the show.
I think it's accurate. I would say I'm Sansa, but like post her trauma. Not that I've had trauma like that, but just meaning like the tough Sansa.
Yeah, no. You're gangster. You're gangster Sansa. Oh.
Sorry, that's going to be happening if we want a podcast
that's
right now.
Okay. The little coos of Miri, she's like a little dire wolf.
She's a little newborn dire wolf.
So many questions, so many things. I just want to say that I am annoyed. Yes, don't watch it on an iPad. I get it. Don't watch it on a shitty
I watched it on an iPad. I watched it on an iPad.
Right, but I understand why they're saying, like, don't watch it on not proper TVs, because then it'll be too dark. But not everyone can go to a fucking movie theater premiere at the, Grauman's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles to see it. So you can't, I wish that they would just admit that they didn't make it dark for any other reason than they didn't want to have to deal with all those special effects and having all those extras.
Well,
am I right?
So let's start with the darkness, because the darkness is a great element. The episode starts where there's this wall of darkness. They're getting ready to fight. Melisandre shows up. She lights the Dothraki's swords on fire in what was a beautiful visual moment. And then
that was beautiful. And then all dying was visually stunning.
And they all charge off and get swallowed up by the darkness. And I thought that it was obviously, as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, this is how they're going to make like what should be the most expensive battle scene ever filmed for television, both not look cheap, but also I was like, what a great way to serve the story. What an incredible, I'd never seen anything like this, where that darkness, it's really hard to describe if you haven't seen the episode, but you've probably seen it.
It just looks dark. It looks like someone turned all the lights off.
Right.
No, but Shai, was I talking to you about it? How, like, we have to keep in mind this is still television, and it's such a genius way of showing us how terrifying it is without only showing us the White Walkers.
Exactly.
And it's in what you don't show that you really reveal,
Absolutely.
Like, it's a smarter way. It was so well done.
And it was something that we hadn't seen yet. It was a trick. Like, they did the Battle of the Bastards, which I think is probably the greatest battle I've ever seen on television. So what were they going to do? Just give us a battle with zombies? Well, a battle with monsters was already done in Lord of the Rings, better than anyone's ever going to ever do it again in Return of the King and in Two Towers. So what are they just going to give us a Lord of the Rings fight? So by bringing that element of darkness and mystery was so haunting. I watched the episode while walking on the treadmill.
I told you, don't do that.
With headphones on.
I watched it a foot away from my television on the floor so I could bang the floor as I was watching it by myself in a full body sweat.
So as it was happening, though, because I was with my back to the door and I was moving, so my heart rate was moving as I was doing it, every time something happened, I would duck as if like a White Walker was coming behind me. So I thought that was brilliant, and I think people are being babies if they're complaining about how dark it was.
I mean, it was dark. Let's just be honest.
But it was
dark.
the long night.
It was dark, but it was a night battle. Yeah. I agree. It was dark, but it was still well done.
That was the entire Night King's advantage, was the fact that he's the Night King.
Well, he also like storms it up like a Marvel super movie or whatever hero movie where he like causes a blizzard.
But that storm was again the extent of his magic, his ability. So here we are. We're at this opening scene. We're looking. Jon Snow's looking like a worried puppy, the way he always looks. Samwise Gamgee is looking very scared. In fact, it's asking.
They're trying to be brave. And then you have. What I was watching at the beginning is, okay, who are they focusing on, and are they doing death? I'm obsessed now with who's going to die. Who are they focusing on, and who are they foreshadowing the death of? Melisandre gives a line where she talks about how she's going to be dead by dawn. Now, I would like someone out there who knows anything about Game of Thrones to tell me that in the episode that was essentially a zombie movie, an amazing zombie movie, she said she was going to be dead by dawn, which in my view was an Evil Dead 2 reference, because the name of Evil Dead 2 is Dead by Dawn, and the zombies are all... You think?
I don't know. But
I bet that's out there in the Twitterverse.
I'm sure. I feel like it's one of those things where the way people when people watch The Shining, they find meaning in every single item of every single frame, like the way that a can of soup is rotated a certain way, they find meaning. I think that's what's happening right now. I think
there's only so many words you can use to describe things in shows with zombies
no longer
and dead
living when the sun rises. I mean, I think it's like it was a line that then. Okay, sorry.
Miri agrees.
Disagrees with me, actually. She agrees with you, Shy.
She's like, Uncle Shy, Tio Shy, I absolutely think it was a reference to Sam Raimi's horror comedy classic, Evil Dead. Okay, so we have this like set up, and they're showing the different people, and then we get a little bit into the battle, and our first big death is a guy whose name, honestly, I don't even remember, and I mix up with Tyrion's friend.
The guy from the wall, whatever.
The guy from the wall.
The guy from the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
who shows back up on the episode previously, and you're like, oh, he's there.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was waiting for that.
And
they kept everyone alive pretty much.
Which is kind of what we predicted. We maybe predicted one or two more deaths, but I think all of us felt that we weren't going to see too many. Although I have to say, until
Grey Worm would have definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Grey Room surviving was a real surprise to me. I think that.
Okay, I have a question. What are the rules as far as the Night King's ability to reanimate?
Literally don't understand.
No
but
what are the rules? Why can he reanimate the people in the crypt?
So let's start. Let's just get.
I thought you have to be killed by a White Walker in order to be reanimated by them. You can't just like randomly die.
It's a major what are the rules
resurrect every single person that's ever died ever in the whole world, and the army would be 3 times bigger.
Right, including the ones that were destroyed by the dragon glass, because that was the whole point of killing them with the dragon glasses. Is they can't be reanimated, right? Or no, maybe they can be reanimated.
No, they can't be. They go to dust.
If the White Walkers kill the dragon, right, and that's why they have all the dragon glass weapons. But other people die, and so they become White Walkers. Okay, so Samwise has the classic thing where the coward gets saved by a brave person. The brave person.
That was annoying. He should have just stayed in the crypt. Like, I didn't need that. Or he should have been just brave and gotten his shit together, or just bowed out. It was very annoying to me that he was doing the, oh my god, I want to fight, but I'm so scared. I was like, no,
he should
guys.
have stayed and protected his wife. So, if he stayed and protected his wife, she probably would have been more danger with him there. So
right, but I'm just sort of like, you don't get that far.
Because if they just kept him in the crypt, and then he could have been the one saving people in the crypt, like that would have worked.
I think they are trying to. He has been such a hero lately. They are trying to paint him as a coward so that we can get a redemption from him sometime soon. That's
so
why
he'll die a hero?
Or no, they're just dragging him down a bit so that they can lift him up and we can feel like when he solves some sort of...
we're past that. We have so many other things to be doing on this show that like I'm done with the Sam Tarly drama.
That's a good point. Now, what do you think about this? So Cersei and Tyrion end up in the crypt with the women and children and Varys. Sansa. Sorry. I said Cersei because I think that there are always parallels going between Sansa and Cersei. I think that there is always this possibility that Sansa becomes a Cersei if she doesn't keep her, because of everything she's gone through, and because of how smart she is. Right? There's this debate between her and Tyrion about whether or not they should be able to go out, and if there's something they could do to help with the battle with their minds. And what you're seeing here to me is the two smartest people probably in the kingdom, the two best strategists in the kingdom, are in this crypt with physically they're not able to do anything in this war. But it reminded me a lot of when Cersei hides in the Red Keep during one of the big battles, and here is Sansa in the crypt hiding in the. So I think that there's to me that what the story that they left me with Sansa and Tyrion is that their moment to shine is going to be the undoing of Cersei. They're going to be the ones to figure out whatever has to be figured out in order to end the Westeros, the bigger Westeros war. The brute strength of Jon Snow and bravery of Arya, all that worked out fine for the Night King. But you need more than that to stop Cersei.
Strategy.
That's a good point.
Question. I just have some questions. Does Ghost survive?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Forget about those dogs already. And why isn't there? Can we please see a White Walker version of one of the dogs?
They're going to keep bringing back the dogs. I'm going to keep asking about them.
So
I'm sure he's alive somewhere.
The dog's just going to eat Cersei or something like that, or like? Who?
I don't know, but okay.
He's got to still be alive. Otherwise, why would they bring him back?
Becky, I heard Shai's opinion on the phone previously. I don't want him to influence you. Did the second dragon survive?
Yes, they both survived.
What makes you say that?
I think I read about like the next episode or something. That
okay, if you didn't, everybody that I've asked that question
I had not read about it. I would have only thought her one.
I thought
everybody that's answered me has seen like a preview or read.
I thought that one died fighting
the dead one,
like the white dragon. But
not me. You know why? Because they did not show the dragon's death really on screen.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
And they showed the dragons being wounded. Now, I don't necessarily
think...
And
at least one of her dragons, if not both, are going to have to die from Cersei's crazy device that she built.
Slingshot.
Exactly.
One of them's going to die that way for sure.
I think that also we don't know who's going to die from their wounds from this war, right? Like they aren't necessarily White Walkers going to come out of the dead bodies. There's not necessarily going to be a White Walker dragon coming, but I think, there's got to be room for these dragons to die.
Is Arya's dog coming back?
No.
I can't keep track of the dogs.
I'm just asking about
one. Okay, question.
Lily's very concerned about all the animals. Are there any horses you're worried about? Jorah's horse is dead.
The Pogs. The Pogs. What are they called?
The Pogs?
Star Wars? What are they called?
The Porgs?
Porgs. The Porgs? Are the Porgs coming? Sorry, that was a mom joke.
Wait, Chewbacca. That is true. A total non sequitur from another movie.
Yeah, just bringing something from another movie. What did you guys...
Amazing, Becky. That was amazing.
She's watching farm animal videos, by the way. So the noises you hear are the cows and the sheep she's making.
I know, we can't hear the noises. But if you ever say that this baby fetches or complains or is not well behaved ever again, I will smack you.
Oh my God! I want to Lily. I mean, it's important we talk about Game of Thrones, but if you were offered the opportunity to stop what you were doing and just snuggle that baby right now, what would you?
100%. I'd fly across multiple time zones to see that baby right now.
She's very.
I also Becky loses all credibility when she complains about that child forever.
Also, she's got that little sleepy face in the sleep sack happening, which anyone who's ever picked up a kid in their sleep sack from a nap, it's just like the greatest thing.
She also looks like she's very concerned about the fact that that the animals are in the phone, and she seems like she wishes she can just touch them.
Yeah.
So you should buy her a bunch of farm animals.
Okay.
We're gonna go buy farm animals. Wait, so I had a question. What did you guys think of them giving so much story to what's her name, Lyanna Mormont?
I think they were committed to. I think they
in the
had
whole show.
So here's the thing.
Yeah. What did you think of her death scene?
I think that they had.
Wait, who?
The little girl who gets smushed by
the giant. I thought that was great. Sure.
I think
a lot of people are going to have to die, so you might as well make it interesting.
So here's the thing. One of my biggest complaints about the show, it's such a so contradictory, is that early on it became so much about
love-hate check.
Yeah.
Love and hate.
About so much about who's going to die, and then at a certain point they had their main characters, and the main characters just aren't going to die to the end, if at all, right? Because like there's just not, the show's gimmick isn't everybody dies; it's that it's supposed to be a compelling show. But they needed some fodder of people to kill to give dramatic moments during the White Walker fight, and so I think Lyanna was her moment, and the idea of the small person killing the giant was pretty amazing.
And such a young person being so brave. That was pretty awesome.
I loved it.
So that was terrific, and it was great, and it was emotional, but like not Arya dying, which would have destroyed me at that point. If Arya dies going forward.
No, and let's just also talk about the other elephant in the room. Hello, her totally like upstaging Jon Snow, surprising all of us on a episode that was quite predictable. We knew the Night King was gonna die at some point, because then the rest of the season has to be the Battle of Cersei. So we knew he was gonna die. Probably assumed Jon Snow was gonna kill him. But then it's her that does it in just such an epic way. I was impressed that I got to be surprised on this episode, because I feel like it was pretty predictable in general. It was exciting, but somewhat predictable.
Not only did I love that she killed him, I don't feel like I needed her to kill him. What I loved was the move that she pulled with dropping the knife into the opposite hand.
We'll get there. I want to lovingly work our way through this episode.
Okay.
We'll get there. Okay.
Jeez,
I want to talk. I want to. Well, not so much chronology. We're doing themes. Okay. Because before we get to the grand finale, let's talk about the fact that, in general, I felt like. Did you feel the like sinking, terrifying feeling of like, how are they going to win? Like, what is this evil?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Even if they win, what's going to be left?
It looks like there's literally 20 people still alive inside the castle.
But let's just
say again. It looks like there's literally 20 people, and then they're like almost ripped apart. And then all the dead reanimate. You're like,
but that's the thing, is that this is a very predictable episode. So how to keep a predictable episode exciting? And you don't really think, like they finally like have a second where they're like, oh my God, wow, we did it. Like we've kept them out, as like we've killed all of them, like Jaime, Rhiannon, like they've all like battled so hard. And then he raises the Night King. I don't know what the rules are, but it doesn't really matter. When he lifts up his hand.
Clearly the rules are that he can reanimate anyone he wants from wherever of any proximity of all time.
Or at
Because
least if he's on the premises.
I feel like the rules should be, if you're killed by a White Walker, then you can be reanimated by the Night King.
That was the sound of reanimation. So, and what I loved about it was that you spent 8 years and building towards this, and you're seeing all of these people unite against this terrifying force. To me, it almost felt like the Nazis, the killing machine of World War II, when you have all of these different and that that afterwards there's going to be words, there's going to be conflict, there's going to be arguments over who's in charge and all that stuff. But in this moment, they have to band together, and that the tension of that blew me away. The other thing that I think they did brilliantly to keep the tension going was the scene where Arya is sneaking around the library. Or was it a library? I don't know what it was.
That was so terrifying. I truly, truly felt like I was in a horror movie, a zombie movie. Like, that was the point at which I think I just, like, Lily, I moved to right in front of the television, and, like, you was just gripping onto things and banging things, because it was, like, I couldn't handle how scary that was.
Oh yeah, and that was there was like 45 minutes left in the episode at that point. So here I am. You got Arya. I thought that this might be her end. That as she sneaks through the library, she's going to turn the corner and then walk in. And at one point, she stabs one of the things in the head.
But they really do it. They do it so well where it's a jerking move. It's such a tight shot. And you're not sure if it's her or the other one. But they quickly let you know it wasn't her. And that was just very well done.
And then I enjoyed, cannon fodder again, but her and the Hound and Patchy Magoo fighting their way to the end. And then Patchy Magoo sacrificing himself. Although, I have to say, I was confused by how many times he survived. I will say, I was confused by a number of people. I thought Brienne of Tarth died 5 times in that episode. She was constantly
looked like
screaming.
she was ripped apart multiple times.
It did look like that, her and Jamie, but they still keep going, unrealistically, but fine.
In fact, they were not
the
that
patchy eye
significant.
guy, I was like, it's about time, sure. And then Melisandre, whatever her name is like, now it's time. He served his purpose.
Dead by dawn, she just lets herself die? That's how she dies?
She served her purpose. She's done.
Yeah, she's been alive for 1,000 years, so.
And the other guys died like 19 times that we know of, or whatever.
So then there was another moment in this where the dragon goes up to the to the Night King, Jon Snow. Someone's right. I mean, you got Jon Snow and Daenerys flying around, shooting fire at things. And to me, the big lesson here is, how brave the two of them are, and how they had no chance without those dragons. So she's earned, I think, a lot of street cred. But at the same time, how little those dragons are able to do, because when Jon Snow goes to burn the Night King's like, bring it on, I'm just fine. Does that mean the Night King is a Targaryen, or does that just mean the Night King can't be burned?
Targaryen?
Okay, so one of the interesting... No. Hold on.
The fairies make the Night King. Was the guy that they used the human a Targaryen?
So the tree people made the Night King. At that point, none of these, whatever they're called, I mean, they're tree fairies, whatever they are.
Yeah.
At that point, none of the actual houses exist, but it's their ancestors, so maybe potentially he's an ancestor of a Targaryen. But I think it has more to do, and this is not an original idea, but something I read, and that I agree with, has to do with how he was created. He was created by putting the piece of whatever it was, dragonglass thing, in his heart, so then therefore he had to be like stabbed in the heart to die.
But he was stabbed in what would have been, I think, more like the gut.
No, I think it was in his heart, like directly in his heart.
No, she stabbed. Anyways,
in the heart area, but with Valyrian steel, which is interesting.
So,
because he can be killed by, why can he be killed by Valyrian steel and dragonglass?
They can all be killed by Valyrian steel.
Right, why?
Because it's Valyrian steel, it's magical. What do you mean, why? It's ancient.
So, I want to give a shout out to the Take Two podcast guys, because they were the first ones ever to tell me the theory of the crypt. The crypt was going to come to life.
And when you said that, I was like, that's ridiculous, because then what are the rules?
Exactly. But
I guess they predicted a what are the rules moment.
And Sansa and Tyrion are holding hands in what, again, one of the best... There weren't a lot of character moments in this episode. There was a lot of action and tension. But one of the best character moments of the whole show was Sansa and Tyrion holding hands, and her saying to him that he was the best of her 3 husbands, and them feeling their moment of unity and closeness as these 2 damaged, intelligent people. Becky has a question, but she's on mute.
Not to be a dummy, but who was the 3rd husband?
She was married to Ramsay, Tyrion, and Joffrey.
Joffrey.
She was married to Joffrey?
Well, they had a wedding.
And Joffrey died.
Died at the wedding.
I thought he married Marjorie.
Well, I mean, he was supposed to be her husband, and then they gave her to Tyrion.
Yeah, he married. He then decided he wanted Marjorie instead of her, and then she marries Tyrion. She doesn't marry Joffrey. Marjorie marries him. And then because she's already queen,
well, she had a lot of suitors, including Littlefinger, that creepster.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, I don't miss in this season, Littlefinger. I'm glad.
He died at the appropriate time.
Died a timely death.
Because you can't have like a weasel strategist right now and being a protagonist in this season. Like, there's too much action. So, like, he died that's good writing. They really got rid of him at the right time, and I thought he served a great villainous purpose up until that moment.
And he got to have
a pretty complicated character. I appreciate what he brought to the story.
And he got to own a big moment. Right now, anyone who dies for the rest of this show is sharing their death with everybody else who dies in this season. So that's why I also don't think as many people as people think are going to die are going to die. But I do think more are going to die at the hand of Cersei, because we're going to be reminded very soon why she is the most evil, and why, as bad as the Night King was as a physical force, she's the real terrible one. Whether it's by her army slaughtering people in Westeros, in the whatever it's called, Winterfell, or by some sort of horrible trap when they go
King's
back.
Landing?
Yeah, when they go back to King's Landing. No, like whether her army, like the Ironborn, show up at Winterfell, because there's not that many people alive left after the long night.
How many people do you think are left? Like 100 people? 20
I mean,
people?
probably in the thousands. Probably like in the thousands, but there was
it
like
looks like
100,000.
millions died.
It was so sad.
All
when
that
people died.
cleanup. Oh, it was very. I think I was just mostly very sad at the idea that like all the Dothraki died, almost all the Unsullied died, all the wildlings died. Like I think it was just very, very sad.
I think that was critical
after
though.
8 years.
I
It didn't feel like just a random army. Like when Daenerys became upset that all the Dothrakis were wiped out, like I was upset with her.
Neri's upset.
I
mean, but also those are her loyalists. And again, this is something I was saying. The dragons didn't die, but her army being wiped out and Jorah being wiped out, that means that she is going to have to rely on everybody else. Like at this point, she gets to be queen because she has the dragons, but she's not going to simply be able to be queen because she has a big army.
Numbers.
Yeah. That'll be interesting time to see what kind of alliance she and Sansa actually make.
Can we move on to Bland?
Yes, we have to talk about Bran.
During battle? What did
I would like to show. Can I put a clip of Seth Meyers talking about him? Would we get sued?
Yeah,
Probably not.
I mean, no one will notice, but
So, come on.
But just why don't you just tell us? No, just
it's just so funny.
Just tell us.
What did he do during the battle?
Well, Seth, can I just? You can cut it out. Can I just?
No, just report it, Lily. I love when Lily repeats a comment.
I like when you explain funny things that you saw.
Well, okay, I don't remember it verbatim, but
give us the gist.
You never do.
He was saying that
gist is not in
taking the Mueller report and putting it into 4 pages was like saying this episode was about a kid that's like a guy that smoked too much weed and thought he was hurt.
Yeah,
like that you can't like sum it up in like something that's so short. And then he goes and then he just goes on a tangent and he's like, I'm sorry. He's talking about Barr and Mueller and like really important things and he's just like, and not to make it all about Bran, but what are your powers? he's like, what can you do? And no, Bran, don't do that eye thing. I'm talking to you. Like, what is your thing? And then he jokes about like having, if like just basically wasting your superpowers or whatever it is.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what he went and did. So I think that I don't know what role Bran. I think Bran's story for now is done, and any further information we get about the Night King, unless we find out he was a Targaryen or something like that, is being saved for the spinoffs and the sequels. Like that to me was we've ended that story here, and then they're gonna give you a whole story about the Tree People and the Night King and the Night King. We're going to see it from the Night King's perspective, like in Cobra Kai from Johnny, and you're going to see that the Tree People and everybody is in Three-Eyed Raven's a jerk. Mm-hmm. But it's Bran's role is a similar role to that of Doctor Strange in Avengers Endgame, where he has foreseen a potential future and certain things have to unfold, and he is the guardian of that.
But
and the point of Bran is Bran had to be bait, and he knew exactly where he had to be, and Theon had to be in front of him guarding him, because it came down to the very last second of the Night King, this killing machine working his way through everything.
As Seth Meyers says, what is your superpower and when are you going to use it? That's like Superman using his X-ray vision to heat up a Hot Pocket. He's like, what?
Ooh, I could go for a Hot Pocket.
That's funny, but I think the key power is the foresight, is being able to see in and out of time and see the potential.
So now he should be able to help them figure out how to beat Cersei.
But he may not get involved in something like that.
No, but that's not his whole deal. He's not like involved in the war strategy. His whole thing is just record history and like.
Okay. And also, when his ravens go out into the abyss, they don't do anything.
One theory I heard is that they're out recording history, like little video cameras.
Oh, like little drones of the battle.
Little drones. Yeah.
He recording seems to send them out in like a poignant moment when he goes to Theon, I have to go now. And then his eyes flip up. Like
I think
he's just like, I forgot to push the DVR record.
It might have been recon for where the Night King actually was to go.
It's not like he's sharing that information with anyone.
No, it might have been, but it might have been that. It might have been to see how long, like where things were unfolding in the battle, to see if his vision was a battle, or it might be something that we only find out in the
later
in the sequel or in the prequel or something like that. Which again, I care very little about what happens with the Night King's backstory. Is he's like the alien from Aliens. I don't need to know much more. I already know too much. Now, probably the most significant character death in this episode was that of Theon's.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Let's take a moment to
People were disappointed that he just ran right into that.
Yeah.
See, I don't view it that way. I view it as Theon knew that his purpose was to fight until the very end, and wow, did he fight well, shooting those arrows until he had no arrows, and then fighting.
But then it was like a bit of a letdown. I would have liked to see him at least like battle with like one of those generals that were standing around doing nothing.
But he was going for the Night King, and again, it was all part of this vision unfolding.
I get that it was all like a timing thing, and then that specific second that he gets in the way prevents.
Here's the thing. Here's why
when he dies and they have him struggling on the ground, like what was it? Don't give me that.
His death scene.
Here's
Alfie Allen deserved that. Alfie Allen, that's actor. He'd earned that death scene.
One of like the big things of Theon in the last couple of seasons is these moments where he could be brave.
You're right.
Rather than running or freezing or staying by Bran, he runs into battle. He runs into his death with no fear. And I think that's why it's important that he did that, because here he is showing he's finally overcome he's like basically going to die a peaceful death because he has overcome like the torture and the abuse and, you know, what did you do to this, Miri? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it was actually like pretty important for him to run straight into the Night King. No fear.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm truly running out of tricks those guys because she like doesn't even want to watch TV.
We're basically at the end of the episode, but I think you're right, because if you echo back to when he is freed by his sister when he's Reek, and he can't leave because he's so traumatized by Ramsay.
Or when he doesn't do anything to save his sister.
Yeah, exactly. And now he is sacrificing himself. There was a certain point in the show where I could not watch his part of the story. It was so upsetting. And the fact that I was able to watch it and enjoy it and say goodbye to him and feel for him was a true accomplishment, and I thought that was great, and it was good that he got that send-off. All right, the final moment where Jon Snow is fighting the dragon, trying to make his way to the Night King to save Bran, and Arya is told by Melisandre that she's good, but they refer to some conversation that I definitely did not remember.
I remember the conversation, but I just thought she just meant like she's gonna kill the White Walkers.
Exactly. And then just as the Night King is about to kill Bran, Arya pops out
with a hop, skip, and a jump.
Also, that Night King Bran stare down was like a second too long for me.
Unless the theory where they're like the same person or they're connected or all that stuff.
Like that's what I had heard. I was getting Arya a new passport, and of course my husband forgot his ID, so I had to buy time when he ran home to get it. And I'm just like, I didn't want to lose his Spanish passport, so it's like in my neighborhood. And so I just like don't want to lose my turn and like have 100 people go in front of me. So I'm just like chit-chatting with the guy, and then I notice he's wearing a Game of Thrones shirt. And this was the day after that episode premiered. The third episode. So I was like, so tell me, what do you think? And he was like, well, and his theory, guy at the police station in Santa Cruz, Tenerife, is that moment is some sort of, well, I was like, look, I might as, keep this going because I don't want to lose my turn. And that moment is something between them. That's not a wasted moment. That has to be that like they're connected or transference or something happened, because otherwise it was like weird that he was just standing there looking at him instead of killing him.
I agree. That's a really good point. I don't think that these guys wasted time in this episode. I'm wondering then what that means for the future of Bran. Okay, so then Melisandre. I thought, by the way, Arya was dead. I thought that was it. This was going to be the gut
choked the
punch.
life out of her. Yeah. I thought she was going to kill him and die.
Yeah. And the fact that she survived.
Brushes herself off after that and is like, whatever.
And then Melisandre goes off and takes off her little necklace and finally disappears.
A pile of dust.
What do you guys think, as we wrap up, what do you foresee happening in the next episode? Not the rest of the show,
I don't know, but I was very intrigued that Emilia Clarke said that episode 5 is epic.
And Jon Snow said, Kit Harington said the episode 4 is his favorite.
Oh.
What if there's a time jump between these two episodes? What if that was essentially a season
I think there
finale?
has to be. I feel like there has to be, right? I bet that's a great prediction, Shay. Because they can't just like pick up and be like, let's go to King's Landing. Like that makes no sense.
If they don't, or they have to spend time dealing with the aftermath of this horrific war.
Because there's no rush. Like Cersei's just there, like being queen.
Unless Cersei's armies attack them. But there's going to be some like arguing around the table of like, what do we do with Cersei and who's going to be kings of Winterfell and all that stuff. Who is the next character to die?
I would have said Grey Worm, but I feel like he's going to retire in Boca with his girlfriend because he's like, let's go to the Boca of Game of Thrones land. When he's like, wherever your family's from, and like our families will meet, and they'll be like, everybody will be happy.
Well, no one's left in his family.
What do you think? I feel like Tormund is probably going to go.
Yeah. No, Tormund and Brienne, I feel like this is a shot for them.
The Hound, Tormund.
Oh, yeah, the Hound.
But the next to die? I don't know if
Although I still think the Hound is going to kill the Mountain. That's the most satisfying.
Then he might die. But the next, I don't know. I want to see Tormund and Brienne right off.
I want to go something crazy like Arya dying. I'm going to just go big and be like...
I got to go.
All right.
I got to go. I'm sorry.
Bye.
Okay. I love you.
Love you, Beck. You can follow her at Paper BK Princess. DM her. She'll send you a picture of her adorable baby.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Say it again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You say bye-bye? All right. One trick pony.
If we get that bye-bye soundbite clean, I'm just going to use it at the end of every episode.
Bye-bye. Oh, that'd be amazing.
So yeah, I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna say Arya is gonna be the next one to die. I feel like they have to do.
Gave her her purpose.
There's something. Her story is kind of over in a sense, and I mean, unless she kills Cersei, but again,
Cersei, but
I mean, she's gonna kill the Night King and Cersei. So I feel like, and I also feel like they've got some tricks up their sleeves to really gut punch us, and an Arya death would be the kind of thing that gut punches us.
After this episode, I'm kind of like, maybe it'll be Jaime that kills Cersei. Because what he's seen in that fight, I think he fully has to believe that together you need to all, fight for the greater good. And he might be the only one that can do it. And that's for the greater good.
Very interesting. Okay. But who dies next? I'm going Arya. Big. Go big or go home. I don't want it to happen. I will be crying if she dies, but...
I think you're right, though. I think that's a good prediction.
And Becky said Tormund?
Tormund.
Which would be a gut punch, but wouldn't derail the overall story, is what you're saying.
Right. Okay. I don't think they have the balls to kill Arya.
I think that whatever the next death is, it's going to be heavier and harder than any death in the White Walker episode. Because that's sort of like part of life, right? Which is that you get through part of life in Westeros is you get through this amazingly terrifying thing, and then something horrible will happen to you.
Right.
All right. Well, Lily, where can people follow you?
Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
You can follow me at Pancake for a Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Friday Night Movie at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow everything that we do at FridayNightMoviePod.com and PancakeForTable.com. And we will be at All-Star Comic-Con, which we're very excited for. It's soon. It's just about a month. It'll be less than a month when this... Oh, no. It's a little bit more than a month. June 7th, 8th, and 9th in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. Thank you guys for doing this.
Thanks. It was so fun. Becky, you should have just given her food and let her walk around the house.
I realize that now. I should have just given her food and let her walk around the house. Thank you. That's what we're doing. She's walking around in her diaper.
Let me see her for a second.
All right.
Out of control.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Rich, don't hang up.
Bye-bye.